Welcome to today's video, where we examine the harsh reality behind international family visits to the United States and why sponsorship alone is often not enough. We will explore the legal presumption of immigrant intent under Section 214B, what consular officers actually evaluate, why sponsors have limited influence, the real meaning of strong ties, and practical alternatives that preserve both finances and family relationships. Let's get started. Here's our roadmap for the session. First, we'll unpack the core legal obstacle that shapes these decisions. Next, we'll clarify why sponsors, even wealthy citizens, have minimal impact. Then, we'll define strong ties and look at evidence that matters. After that, we'll dissect why paying for a trip can backfire and why rotating visitors raises suspicion. We'll pivot to an alternative strategy that often works better, test your understanding with a quick quiz, and close with key takeaways and next steps. Let's ground the discussion in reality. When family is abroad and you're hoping for regular visits, especially from countries with historically higher overstay rates, the process is not neutral. The law requires officers to start with the assumption that the applicant intends to immigrate, overstay, or work illegally. Everything in the interview is about overcoming that assumption. This is why many well-meaning families are surprised by denials, even when an American sponsor is ready to support the trip. Section 214B is the legal foundation of most tourist visa denials. It requires the officer to assume the applicant intends to immigrate, overstay, or work illegally. The interview is a test. Can the applicant demonstrate that their visit is temporary and that they have compelling reasons to return home? The flowchart shows the logic. The officer begins with presumption, assesses the strength of ties, and either refuses under 214B or approves for a temporary visit. If refused, reapplication should happen only after the applicant's profile has meaningfully improved. Contrary to popular belief, the sponsor's finances, U.S. citizenship, or stable family status have minimal influence on a B-2 decision. Invitation letters and promises to cover expenses are not persuasive because the decision hinges on the applicant's independent likelihood of returning home. The officer is focused on tangible, personal ties that anchor the applicant to their country of residence. This comparison highlights that the sponsor's attributes, such as paying for expenses, legal status, or providing accommodation, carry limited weight. On the applicant's side, independent financial capacity, property ownership, a stable career or business, family responsibilities at home, and a clean travel history are the factors that directly address the return home question. In short, the applicant's profile outweighs the sponsor's profile. Use this checklist to evaluate an applicant's readiness. Financial stability should be independent, with the applicant ideally paying for the trip. Employment or a strong business should have clear evidence and show that extended absence would be costly. Property and assets demonstrate a physical anchor to the home country. Family responsibilities provide a personal anchor. A clean travel history with timely returns shows compliance. Finally, a short, specific itinerary with documented leave dates clarifies the temporary nature of the visit. This mind map organizes the categories of strong ties: financial capacity with self-funding, employment or a business with documented stability, property ownership, family responsibilities, a record of compliant travel, and a focused, temporary purpose. Each branch should include documents that substantiate the claim, such as bank statements, employment letters, business permits, land titles, civil registry documents, and previous visas with exit stamps. Here's a practical preparation plan. Start with a concise purpose statement that emphasizes a short, specific, temporary visit. Aim to self-fund. Prepare robust documentation for employment or business obligations and property. Include civil records and evidence of family responsibilities. Add proof of travel compliance. Make sure the itinerary matches approved leave dates and return tickets. Rehearse concise answers and maintain consistency between the DS-160, your documents, and your statements. While it feels generous to pay for everything, fully funding a visit can undermine the applicant's case. It implies insufficient independent means and may raise concerns that the applicant intends to recoup costs by working in the United States. A better approach is for the applicant to pay core expenses themselves, while any sponsor contribution remains minimal and incidental. Organizing a schedule where different family members visit every few months can be interpreted as an attempt to maintain continuous family presence in the United States. Officers may infer that the family unit is collectively seeking residency or employment opportunities. To reduce suspicion, avoid patterns that look organized and frequent, and ensure each application stands on its own merits. Quiz time. The question is, which factor most strongly influences a B-2 visa approval for a family visitor from a high-risk country? Option A. The U.S. sponsors income and citizenship. Option B. An invitation letter and free housing. Option C. The applicant's independent strong ties to their home country. Option D. The number of U.S. relatives who can co-sponsor. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the correct answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. The deciding factor is the applicant's independent strong ties, financial stability, employment or business, property, family responsibilities, and a compliant travel history. Sponsor attributes generally carry minimal weight in overcoming 214B. A practical way to accomplish the emotional goal of family bonding without repeated visa disappointments is to reverse the travel direction. The U.S.-based family can visit the home country. This removes the visa barrier entirely for relatives who lack strong ties or the means to self-fund, and it is often less expensive than hosting multiple U.S. trips while also minimizing the risk of repeated denials. Visiting relatives in their home country has several advantages. It typically costs less when accounting for repeat applications and the expense of hosting. It avoids the uncertainty of consular decisions and the emotional toll of denials. You can see more family at once without coordinating a rotation. Planning becomes more predictable, and the experience occurs in a familiar cultural setting that can be particularly meaningful for older family members. This timeline shows a practical plan. Decide now, book within a month, finalize the itinerary by the second month, and travel in the third month for a short stay. Incorporate budget checks at booking and pre-travel stages, and consider repeating the visit on an 18-month cadence to maintain family connection without raising immigration concerns. These are the most important takeaways. The law presumes immigrant intent, and the applicant must overcome it with strong ties. Sponsor factors are secondary. Self-funding and evidence of obligations at home matter substantially. Over-sponsoring and rotation strategies can increase risk. Often, the most effective approach is to visit relatives in their home country. To conclude, remember the legal framework. 214B governs the outcome and puts the burden on the applicant to show strong ties. Focus on building a credible, document-backed profile and avoid patterns that suggest continuous U.S. presence. For many families, visiting relatives abroad is the most reliable way to maintain connection while managing cost and risk. Plan with honesty and realistic expectations. Here is a concise action plan. First, audit all home country ties objectively across finances, employment or business, property, family responsibilities, and travel history. Second, choose your path. If ties are weak, prioritize visiting relatives abroad. If ties are strong, prepare a focused, self-funded application with precise documentation. Third, avoid common pitfalls: full sponsorship, organized rotation plans, and vague or lengthy itineraries. This flowchart depicts the officer's decision process. The starting point is the legal presumption of immigrant intent. The evaluation step considers 5 main tie categories: financial capacity, employment or business, property, family responsibilities, and travel history. If these ties are compelling, the application is approved for a temporary visit, leading to a return home. If not, a 214B refusal is issued, and the applicant should improve their profile before considering reapplication. Please note that this content is informational and does not constitute legal advice. Each case is unique, and outcomes depend on individual profiles and consular discretion. For tailored assistance, consider consulting a qualified immigration attorney. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to hear your experiences and questions in the comments so we can continue to learn together.